Good morning. Happy Aloha Friday to everyone. Hope everyone has been having a very successful week. This is where Bitcoin stands. It had a peak of 66,000 near 425, pulled back a little bit. It's bouncing right now. So we're going to see if this has a more of a pullback. Keep on our hedge at 33 on BitX. So we'll go over that a little later. So that is Bitcoin. Our word of the day is sternutation. Sternutation, the act of sneezing. So Miss Franklin was trying to speak, but she was caught in a fit of sternutation. That's our word of the day. On to our S&P 500 heat map. The PCE report came out pretty flat. So that was good news for inflation moving forward. Some of the big winners have been selling off today. NVIDIA is down 2.43%, Broadcom 2.44%, Eli Lilly is down 3.22%. So people taking the profits, bouncing. A little bit of movement into energy. Industrials continues to do well. Caterpillar was one that seemed to be breaking out earlier. Financials are doing well. Utilities, and China continues to roar. So that is the story there, and we will take a look at our. This is FUTU. The online brokerage company continues to do well. So our ETF for the day is KWEB. It's in the kind of buy zone, up another 4%, gaps up here, and another 3 gaps up, gap ups in a row. The danger is may pull back to maybe fill this gap eventually. We'll wait and see on the Chinese softening their interest rates and government supporting the market. So that is the story with them. Let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar getting a little bit of a bounce, not much, up 1 cent. Go look at gold first. Gold is selling off a little bit today, some profit taking. Silver, a lot of profit taking in silver. We'll see if it comes back to the 10-day moving average. So this looks like a gigantic cup. Maybe silver will put in a handle and do something like this. That is what, on pullbacks, that's what we recommend buying silver. It had filled this gap here. This might have been a good time to add on the fill of this gap. We thought it might come and fill this gap as well. It didn't come down that far. So that is what is going on with silver. Long-term positive on silver. Copper is pulling back a little bit. We'll see if it fills this gap over here. Take a look at the few leaders. Arrow pulling back a little bit. Tech, which was up strong the other day, it's pulling back as well. Southern Copper pulling back, and FCX. Haven't looked at Rio for a while. Rio is continuing up. Vale in Brazil, mining company is up. Look at uranium. Uranium is kind of pausing here. Denison Mines, pausing as well. So that is kind of the story there. Definitely a double bottom here. It has come up, broke out above the double bottom base. So it's something to continue to watch. And let us go to our bonds. This is the bond yields. We got a bounce yesterday, and now it's selling off today, off a little over 1% on personal consumption expenditures. Index came in pretty soft. 20-year So it's 3.75% interest or yield on the 10-year and 2.95 on the 20-year, which is falling 1.17%. Look at the VIX. VIX is getting a little bit of a bounce, not too much movement, up quarter from yesterday. S&P 500 was down earlier, continues down pretty flat for the day. Equal weight is actually up for the day about 0.5%. This continues to look good for the broadening of market other than the big cap 7 largest companies. Here is the NASDAQ, up 0.4%. And the equal weight is actually up slightly. Take a look at the small caps. They're bouncing today. See if they can finally break out of this kind of range-bound area. Dow Jones gapped up and then is pulling back. Look at industrial sector, the S&P, pretty flat. This is the oil pricing, got a nice bounce. Call that almost a dead cat bounce. Still hasn't been able to fill this gap. Continue to watch that. Here's energy up slightly. Drillers is up a little over 1%. Financials up slightly. Communications with Google and Meta. Meta is right at the top of its pivot here. Google getting a little bit of a bounce up to its 50-day moving average. Real estate holding steady at its 20-day moving average, up 0.47%. I think the long-term real estate is probably going to do in this area along with home builders. They're getting a nice bounce today after the pullback to the 10-day moving average. Got a couple of them, Lennar, maybe Homes. Looks like it's filling the gap, got a little bit of a bounce in this pullback. Might be an area to nibble at that. Utilities remaining pretty strong, 0.94%. Biotech got up 0.71%. This one seems to be doing a little better. It's up 0.91%, and can take a look at the triple. It's up a little over 2%. Semiconductor down 1.54%. Transportation is up a little bit. Southwest got a bounce yesterday. Been some rumors that they may start international travel in Southwest. It's down 0.2% today. Material sector really looks strong in here. Of all of these is probably strongest. Cleared this area at 94.52. It would have been the buy area. XME has a number of same issues in it, so it's going to be acting pretty strong as well. Got a double bottom here. The buy area would be 65.47. Keep that on your watch list. And XLY, Amazon, Tesla are in here. Tesla's up today. Consumer staples, pretty flat. Healthcare, a little bit of a bounce at 0.16%. And so that's kind of where we are there. Let's go over to our news. Former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba is set to become Japan's first prime minister after winning closely fought contests on Friday in its fifth and what he called final attempt to lead the ruling World Democratic Party. The 67-year-old political veteran prevailed over hardline nationalist Sane Takichi in a runoff vote in what was one of the most unpredictable leadership elections in decades, with a record 9 candidates in the field. UK, United Kingdom, retail sales grow at fastest pace since May, as the CBI said its monthly retail sales balance rose up 4 in September from negative 27 in August, while retailers' expectations for the month ahead rose from negative 17 to a plus 5, their strongest since April of 2023. So let us move on to our consumer sector. Costco, quarter 4 EPS $5.29 versus estimate $5.08. On revenues of 79.7 billion versus 79.97 billion. So we did sell, we had a small amount of shares in another portfolio we managed. We sold over here, and we bought back after hours half of what we had, which was 50 shares in that other portfolio. I think over the long term, continue to do well. It's bouncing near its 50-day moving average. So on to Mazda. Let's see if anything comes up. Nothing comes up for Mazda, but it's recalling 77,670 sports vehicles in the US over a software error that may cause the front airbags to deploy with excessive force in a crash. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said on Friday. Scholastic. Quarter 1 adjusted EBITDA, $60.5 million loss versus estimate of $73.39 million. Says earnings were up 3%. It was a 180% negative earnings surprise. It did gap up quite a bit and then it sold off, still up 7.16% on that news. Toyota Motor is recalling over 42,000 US vehicles over loss of power brake assist that can extend the distance required to stop. The US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said on Friday. So it gaps down to its 50-day moving average off 3.44%. Vail Resorts boost buyback authorization of 1.1 million to 1.7 million shares, quarter 4 EPS negative 4.67 versus estimate of negative 4.24, selling off. And we got buying up to its 50-day moving average off 4.23% at the moment. And Win upgraded to overweight from equal weight and Morgan Stanley, citing a combination of near low valuation and underappreciated opportunity in the UAE. So there we go. Win is actually up 6.12%. We got several gap ups. We got a gap up here, we got a gap up here, and we got a gap up here. It operates in Macau. So I think this is getting a China boost on this trade, that's for sure. Looks just like all the other China stocks. So on to energy industrial materials. China's see if I typed the wrong symbol. Still doesn't come up. CNOOC Limited CEO announced on Friday the start of production of Phase 2 development at its fully owned flagship deepwater gas project in South China Sea. INQ announces largest 2024 U.S. quantum contract award, $54.5 million with U.S. Air Force Research Lab. This one gaps up. We had looked at this before, maybe 6 months ago, but this is a pretty good move. It's cleared this area. Does have some overhead resistance here earlier, but look at this massive volume on this. Volume is up 1,357%. You want some quantum computing in your portfolio, this might be a good one. Let's see what other quantum. Not sure if there's any other of these that are actually quantum computing. This may be the closest one. Hewlett Packard. I don't think it's actually quantum computing though. But that you may want to put in your watch list. Financials, Fed discount windows at loans 1.37 billion in week ending September 25th after a 1.38 billion. Fed bank term funding loans 85.9 billion in the week ended September 25th after 94.8 billion. On to healthcare. Cassava Sciences shares fall as a drug maker, and two of its former executives agreed to pay more than $40 million to settle SEC charges that they made misleading statements about the results of an Alzheimer's drug trial. So this gaps down to the 50-day, and it is bouncing off 12.77% onto Establishment Labs Holding. ESTA shares jump after saying it received U.S. FDA approval of its Motiva breast implants. Said the FDA cleared the use of Motiva's Smooth Silk ergonomics and Smooth Silk round implants in primary and revision breast augmentation. It gaps up on this news. It's up 15%. On to Travere Therapeutics. Announces voluntarily pause of enrollment in phase 3 Harmony study of pegtibatinase related to commercial manufacturing scale-up, said to address manufacturing scale-up process improvements. Enrollment in phase 3 Harmony study expected to restart in 2026, and they're off about 4.8%. Had a huge move up to 15, so you would expect some profit taking as well. So you may want to put that on your watch list. ARM Holdings approached Intel about potentially acquiring the company's product division, but it was told the business is not for sale. Bloomberg News reported. Here's ARM. Take a look at Intel. It's up slightly today. Some news that Qualcomm may be interested in. Some of their lines are taking over the entire company. And NVIDIA may possibly get into the bidding as well. So I'd continue to watch these companies, take advantage of Intel's difficulties that continue. BlackBerry, Q2 adjusted EPS 0 versus consensus loss of 4 cents. 4-cent loss. Q2 revenue 145 million versus 132 million last year. Raises full year 25 EPS to a negative 5 cents to negative 2 cents from negative 7 cents to negative 3 cents. Versus consensus loss at 6 cents and narrows full year 25 revenue to 591 million to 616 million from the previous 586 to 616 million. So BlackBerry has become a penny stock. So let's move on to our daily report. It's up 10% on 200% increase in volume. We look at establishment earlier on a gap up. Minuso. This is a Chinese company. Operates 5,800 stores located in 90 countries, regions under the brand name Minuso. It is up 9.92%. Maybe it was, I'm not sure how it got in here because it's supposed to be up 10% on 200% increase in volume, but there you have it. And here we go with EchoStar. EchoStar is up 11.84%, 251% increase in volume. Finally, we got Zeke. It's up 11.73%. And there's a few other issues that I just wanted to take a look at. This is something we decided just to buy 100 shares. FUTU. May add some if it pulls back a little bit here in the pivot. We'll continue to watch that. JD, several gap ups in a row. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at all this volume. Volume just keeps on growing. This issue is in Hong Kong. This is our IPO of the day, up 7.22%. It's been kind of volatile, but look at the earnings, 25%, 27%. Zim, I believe this is container shipping in Israel, pops into the breakout zone, up 4.8%, pretty good volume. Coinbase had a nice move today, up 5.65%. We're going to look at one of the IPOs of the day yesterday, just see what it was doing. Doesn't come up. We will try to find it here in our IPO list. And then we'll go look at what we're doing in our portfolio. Here we go, NanoX imaging. I'm not sure if that was the one I was actually looking for. Here is our IPO of yesterday. Actually, Next Tracker continues on up another 2.53%. Well, let's take a look what we're doing on our portfolio. Stera Labs, I knew eventually it would have a little profit taking after this run of stale green light. I like to say it's pulling back a little bit, 3%, but it's had a pretty nice run. Continue to hold that. One that we got stopped out of yesterday, we decided to go back in with an option. We bought an option at 22 yesterday, and then we bought a few more shares today. I'm just bouncing off the 50-day. Got all this buying here, and then a little bit of a profit taking. It's on lower volume than the buying on these 2 days. So just had a feeling that this buying wasn't over. So we'll just kind of see where this goes. It has a 12-month target at $30 a share. And now we're just going to take a look at some of the other things that we've been doing. We bought into Elf Beauty. Did run up yesterday. It's pulled back a little bit, went up to 113 today and had some selling, I guess a high of 115. So where I had the short on the, I did a 110, 115. I guess I could have taken some profits there, but looking more for the long term on this one. And then we shorted the 110 to 105. So those are both bullish options trades. We'll just see where this goes. It is for December. And then we added GH on this little bit of a bounce. We did 10 of the 2250, and then we did the 27 as a short. We did 7 of those, so possibility of buying 3 if it keeps moving up. It does have this overhead resistance. The 200-day, you need to clear the 200-day. We'll just see what this does. Back here to my list. Kava. We added a spread today when it pulled back to 125 on Kava. We did 125, 130 spread on this one. So we'll just see how that works out. That we did for November. Video, we haven't done anything to. Video tried to move a little higher and then it sold off. It looks like it's filling this gap right in here. So we'll see after it fills this gap if it moves back up or it continues lower. VRT. Some of the AI's stocks have pulled back. Felt like this, once again, this is a stale green light. Number of days up in a row. Eventually, you're going to get some profit taking. It has bounced from the lows. It's off about 2.5%. Oracle. Holding up pretty strong here. Got 2 days of pretty tight action. If you include the day before, we got 3 days of tight action up in the upper range of, so here's where it gapped up. Pull back a little bit, and we'll just see if it gets into the profit zone. And Oracle lower. It's holding pretty tightly along the 20-day moving average. Gets any bounce, we may add to it as we've reduced on this pullback to the 10-day. So we said we bought the 5 options and then we bought 500 shares today. So that is what we're doing with American Semiconductor. CRS, Carpenter Technology, had a big sell-off here. It's got a little bit of bounce up 1.3%. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row up. Once again, it's a stale green light. Eventually, you're going to get some profit taking. Terra, just following the 20-day moving average, got a little bit of a bounce today, up 1.09%. Just continue to hold that. We did put on, shorted some of the call options at 30. Arch Capital Group, we said yesterday, it's just kind of following the 10-day moving average. Got a little bit of bounce off of it today, up 0.78%. Dave, we added another little bit to Dave today. Off the bounce off of the 10-day moving average. Once again, the 12-month target, according to Yahoo Finance, is $61. And finally, onto BidX. Pretty close to 31. So where's this resistance line? This is 200-day. All of these people have bought higher area. I think this is eventually going to pull back a little bit. So we're just keeping on that 33 covered call option. So that kind of wraps it up where we are today. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have a weekend wrap up on Sunday. Be sure to tune in for that. Risk to the economy and whatnot. And we will hit you then. In the meantime, keep working on goals and your activities. Keep going out there and moving ahead, surprising yourself and others around you. If you have any financial goals or financial activities that you'd like to check in with us, feel free to send a comment, and we look forward to seeing you over the weekend. Have a great day.